super hot, it burns. So don't get freeze burned.
Alright.
We're gonna actually do this now?
As you can see,
Woo!
I'm out here
I'm as red as a pumped tomato.
chilling with my family.
Hello
trying
there.
to celebrate the holidays.
Hello
Hallelujah.
there. Hello there. Hello there.
But what do I gotta do? I gotta make a video for you. Because what's going on? You know people are breaking the law. That's the only thing I make videos about.
Law.
Anyways, stick around. Maybe we'll save these little ones.
Hot tub.
I pray, dear Heavenly Father, that you help open people's eyes to the truth, to the true nature, that you put true law, your law, the law of the Creator, upon their heart, and you give them the strength and the courage to go perform it. Because with the way I see all these people treating fathers and treating fathers so poorly, taking away their children, I wonder, Lord, what they would do to you being a father if you walked among us. Would they do the same thing to you that they're doing to your children, while allowing the devil's children to just run around, wreak as much havoc as they wish, suffer no punishment or repercussions? Father, if you could just put your law on their heart and give them the strength and the courage to execute it and perform it, I would be really, really appreciative and grateful. What happened? Why do I gotta make this video? It's really hard for me to kind of know where to start. And first thing I'd kind of like to start with is for everybody who has sent me all the Christmas texts and Christmas wishes. I appreciate it. I really do. Feliz Navidad. I'm sorry I've been so distant, but after the last video I published, and I really wasn't planning on making anything until the new year, but after that video I published, Allan had sent a habeas corpus. I don't speak Latin, but in Latin, habeas corpus means to have the body. Whenever I do it, because I do common law and talk about common law stuff, the only reason I'm really talking about this and I'm going to be this open, because it doesn't work anymore. And it's scary. But instead of a habeas corpus, I say restore freedom, because that's what you're wishing for. Restore freedom, or have the body back. You know, I really don't care, as long as it's English, and everybody who speaks English can understand it. And if you followed this channel and you saw what happened to Philip Kemp, and Philip Kemp, if you're watching this and you really wish to show me that you appreciate what I did for you, come stand up with Allan. Because this is why we're losing. It's because the people that the courts beat up, they lose hope. They decide that it's easier to go along with doing evil than to do the right thing because they're more comfortable in their life for the moment. But Kemp, a lot of people came and supported you. You can come and support Allan. So, if you watch what I did with Kemp, you saw that the Supreme Court was trying to skirt around and make an issue about the habeas corpus. They did end up answering it, and of course what they didn't do is they didn't have a clerk sign it to legitimize it, to make it a legitimate, true, and lawful order in law from the Supreme Court, because you can't make that a true and lawful order in law because there's nobody on the other side accusing Philip Kent or accusing Allan of any type of wrongdoing that's not made up. In fact, the person who is convening the courts is the one who should actually be held by the courts for committing perjury. That is an actual crime, and it has caused harm, injury, and loss to Allan and Philip Kent. Now, I know a lot about law, okay, and I've talked about this on my show before. When you're moving in law, you got to strategize. So I know how to do things that I haven't done, or for the most part. I know how they work. And I have to decide when is it time to use them, because whenever I use one of these things, see, in the counterculture, you know, if you follow the counterculture of common law, you'll see greats like Bill Thornton. And he came up with the counterclaim. And it stumped the legal society. And then they just started running over it. And I forget the gentleman's name, but he did a great series called, you know, Secrets of the Legal Society or Secrets of the Legal Industry or whatever. And, you know, after what he did, they basically got rid of Trinsley versus Pagliara for man and woman who are trying to exercise rights on their own 2 feet with their own standing in law. And then you look at, like, Carl Lentz. He came up with the idea of a common law claim, like taking it really back to the nature where you have your own court. All of these really, really big heavyweight common law champions had one thing. My apologies about the interruption. What I was stating before I had to quit filming was that Bill Thornton, Richard Cornforth, and Carl Lentz, they are names in common law of some gurus. They all figured something out, and the courts walked right over it. And because it takes so long and such dedication to figure out tricks in law, to figure out how the game's played, most people don't spend the time to do it twice. And what I'm saying is that I figured out a bunch of different ways to do it that have worked time and time again, and I can see when the courts actually cut off that particular function in law for the average man and woman. And this is what I'm saying right here, is that the courts have cut it off. The judiciary does not uphold the law anymore. Now, in a lot of jurisdictions, in most jurisdictions, most of the time, the judiciary doesn't break the law, but they don't uphold it. And the only way anybody's going to get law back at this point, the only lawful way to do it, is for a bunch of people to go down to the courthouse and get it back. Make sure that they get their rights back. It's the only way it's been done in history. Now, let's go through what this whole thing is about, because Allan tried multiple times to go file an action against Katie for keeping their offspring, their children, a little son and daughter. And they told him he couldn't do it. They told him they wouldn't hear it. They told him he had to do it in the same jurisdiction of Henderson County. They had to do it in Henderson County. He couldn't take out something separate over in Transylvania. But lo and behold, here comes Katie, and she went and filed an action against him for a 50B over in Buncombe County. So we're going to go over this real quick. And just to save a little time, because I'm trying to do this kind of fast, after this you'll see me kind of do a little rant and talk about other things that I talked about in the car driving up here. So here's the paperwork. It was filed. She filed it with the magistrate on the 24th of December, day before Christmas. Merry Christmas, Allan. All right. Allan has attempted to cause or has intentionally caused me bodily injury or has placed me or a member of my family or household in fear of imminent seriously body injury or in fear of continued harassment that rises to such a level to inflict substantial emotional distress or has committed a sexual offense against me. Now, I know I talked about this when I was covering Angela Freiner, but whenever you just have check boxes, you can be sure that that is administrative. Whenever you can just say, yep, that one, because it's never that clear. And they actually leave you space to write what they were talking about, because that kind of makes it look like law. At least gives individual facts and circumstances to the story. And they even tell you, give specific dates and describe in detail what happened. So let's see what she talks about. Okay. Allan called APD officers. He called the police on her multiple times for her criminal activity. Apparently, that is harassing her and causing her undue emotional stress. Well, why don't you just follow the law and let the children see their father? Why don't you just follow the court order and give the children to Allan during his parenting time? That would solve that one. Let's go on. Okay. And he's in contempt of court order in Henderson County. You know, that's really funny because he's never been found in contempt, as far as I understand and know. He has an open DSS investigation on him for alcohol abuse. That's a lie. I have been knowing Allan and working pretty closely with him since August, July. I think it was July. We met on the 10th of July. I have never ever seen him drink a beer, even at social functions. I've never seen him drink a drop of alcohol. So I find that incredibly hard to believe. And then what else does he do? Oh, he talks about he would take the children away at any cost, and he has posted legal documents and illegal recordings on social media. No, I think I have posted legal documents and quote unquote illegal recordings on YouTube. And let me tell you something, little Miss Katie Smith. If it's really a crime, come arrest me for it. I'd love to go through that little rodeo. All right. So, that was ridiculous, and there's no dates, there's no specifics, and everything she's talking about is either blatantly untrue or doesn't matter or actually works against her and proves the case that we've been talking here on this channel, because he has had APD officers to her place multiple times to say she's supposed to be giving me the kids. They won't do anything about it. Okay, the defendant Allan has attempted to cause or has intentionally caused bodily injury to the children living with me or in my custody, has placed my children in fear of imminent serious bodily injury or in fear of continued harassment that raises to such a level as to inflict substantial emotional distress or has committed a sexual offense against the children in that, and again, give specifics and dates and all of that stuff. And what's on here? Oh, he's willfully in contempt of court. He's willfully in contempt of a court order. Again? Hasn't happened. And what is he willfully in contempt of a contempt order for? Or a court order? Oh, it's actually a consent order which he's not consenting to. Which kind of means it's not a consent order. Like, for this order to be in effect, you have to agree. Do you agree? I object. I don't consent. Then I guess we don't have a consent order. And what is that consent order about? It's about keeping the children away from their grandmother over another DSS investigation that was unsubstantiated and closed without finding the grandmother of any wrongdoing. That's why they had to get a consent order. And again, going back to Allan would be doing better if he had an attorney, it was his attorney who threatened him into signing the consent order. Told him, at least this is the way the story goes, I don't know, I wasn't personally there, so don't take this as a fact, but the way I heard the story was that his attorney told him that if he didn't sign that consent order, that Katie was going to take the kids and there was nothing the attorney could do about it. Why do you think he fired them? Okay, and then down here it says, I believe there is danger of serious or imminent injury to my children. Okay, that's a good belief. Okay, check this box if you ask for temporary child custody. So Allan and I are the parents of the following children. It gives the children's name, date of birth, their information. Obviously blocked out on this video. Okay, number 8. Basically, if you check number 7, above is exposed to substantial risk of physical or emotional injury or sexual abuse in that. So basically, it's like the children that I listed in number 7, they are in substantial risk of physical harm or sexual abuse. Well, how? Okay. The son's therapist, court-ordered therapist, has filed 4 complaints with DSS. Somehow, all 4 complaints got cleared. Actually, the last one is still open, but he should be getting the paper any day now. Huh! Sounds like the therapist might be in cahoots with Katie. I don't know. It's just an opinion. It's just my opinion. Okay, but that's the way it looks to me when I'm pretty intimate with this case. And the last one is him driving while impaired. His alcohol abuse. For an alcoholic that I've never seen drink alcohol, ever. Driving impaired, it just doesn't sound like him to me. It's a ridiculous claim. Allegation. False allegation. False claim. Alright, number 9. The defendant has firearms and ammunition, has a permit to purchase a firearm, and has a permit to carry a concealed weapon. And then it goes on to say he's got a bunch of safes, gun safes, and he showed up with a gun at the school to pick up the children. And I don't know if any of that's true or not. I mean, I'm sure he has guns. He hunts. Okay. But if he was at the school to pick up the children with a gun, apparently there wasn't an issue about it. Because otherwise, why didn't the school bring something up? Why didn't he get arrested? Why didn't something bad happen? Just made up stuff. No first-hand knowledge of. And when she's talking about how Allan would do anything to keep the children, guess what? When she was on the stand, she testified how she had kept the children from him multiple times And that was a couple of months ago. And he had never kept the children from her. Not only did he testify to that fact, or she testify to that fact, but her friend who was there to give testimony on her behalf also testified to that fact. Think about that for a minute. How could that be true? And here she is keeping the children away from him. And why is she keeping the children away from him? See, she sent him an email saying she's keeping the children away from him because he has an open DSS investigation on him. And that's really, really funny because when he asked her if she kept the children on Father's Day weekend, she said that she did it because she had an open investigation from the DSS on her. And because she had an open investigation on her, she didn't feel it was appropriate for the children to go with them. How you like them apples?
One more question. When the DSS investigation started last year in June, did you not withhold the children from me on Father's Day weekend when they had a forensic exam scheduled on Monday that I could have done on Friday?
Under my attorney's recommendation and advice, I did not feel that it was in either Lucas or Sarah's best interest, nor my own as the accused party, for the children to be in more custody throughout the weekend prior to their forensic exam.
Now he has court on January 6th. And if people don't watch what happens, if people don't watch that court could just break the law. Very seriously. If they break the law against him, they're going to break the law against you. No doubt. And if you don't know what has been going on in this case, I sincerely wish for you to go look at the video posted up here right now. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the programming. And for anybody who thinks that what I'm talking about with this stuff is out of line or slanderous or false, come sue me. I'd really enjoy for you to come sue me. Come open up a court of law. Come open up a court we can play in. I look forward to the day. Katie, I hope you do it. So, last night I wasn't able to film. So we are filming today. I'm driving back, gotta get back to work. I'm going to kind of pick up where I left off last night a little bit. So, with using law and the things that I know in law, I kind of have to pick and choose my strategies. And so, the habeas or the writ of restore freedom is one of those things I very sparingly used. And I used it at times where I thought it was absolutely necessary. And every single time I've used it, if you go and watch the video about Philip Kemp, you can tell that they recognize what I'm doing, or they recognize what's being done. And it's effective. Now, for everybody that I've ever helped with one of these processes, or just given them my opinion or what I would do in their situation, because I don't give any legal advice. It's always been the same thing. It's always been very similar to what happened to Philip Kemp. And that is, typically the court does the right thing, but they deny the writ. And they never make it a lawful process. Just like the clerk didn't sign that order. I've never seen judicial officers sign denying a writ of habeas, because this is so ingrained into what it means to be American and what it means to be free, It's written in every single state constitution that the privilege of habeas corpus shall not be suspended. And the reason that is because way back in the day, Revolutionary War, the king would just lock people up. And sometimes they wouldn't get a trial for a really, really long time. Or they would get sent back over to England to have the trial because the juries weren't that understanding of the king's wishes over here in the colonies. And so the government could just lock people up arbitrarily when nobody did anything wrong just because they didn't like their political views. And that is why the writ, the private law of having your freedom restored to you until you get a lawful court judgment is so important. And it's actually so important that in North Carolina, they have created state statutes saying that if a judicial officer denies this right to somebody, then they owe the aggrieved party $2,500. Now, this is what I call one of those public relations statutes, because it's never going to be enforced, it's never going to be upheld. Allan did a writ to restore his freedom, sent it to the Supreme Court. They denied it. I don't know why. Now, my best guess, and what I'm hoping, and I really wish they would have just clarified this, is that they denied it because it's not actionable. Because Emily Cowan rescinded the order and took the order away, there's nothing to restore your freedom over. And if that's the case, then okay, that's lawful, because on this writ, or on this order dismissing the writ of habeas, you can clearly see that a judicial officer signed it and a clerk signed it, making it true and lawful. It has a case number. I guess they don't stamp it in the same way at the Supreme Court. But this is legitimate. I'll go ahead and say that. And that's what's scary about it. And down here at the bottom of the order, they sent it to LexisNexis and Westlaw, which means if they dismissed it for any other reason than the fact that it wasn't actionable anymore, we're in a lot of trouble, because they're coming up with precedent on how to take away more of your rights and freedoms. That's exactly what that means. And so, after I saw this, because I actually got the news the day after I published my last video, after I saw this, I was pretty depressed. Because if people don't do something soon, we're going to lose all our rights. We're going to lose the rest of the privileges we still have left. And I just wish for some people who are watching this video to think about this for a minute. If you can't do a writ and have it upheld, you don't have access to a court of law. And for all of you people who are like, well, you should just go get an attorney, let me tell you something. When Allan had an attorney, he paid the attorney $35,000 to $40,000, from what I heard, to do the very same things to him. When Katie withheld the children from him on Father's Day weekend, he had an attorney. Nothing happened. He was just paying for the courts to abuse him like this. And because he had an attorney, and the attorney was turning him over to the courts, turning him over to the state gods, you know, because you remember that judicial officer saying God created the state. And that's why we require a judge or a magistrate to witness the proceedings.
But the judge only has jurisdiction over actual court, not ones that are just created by people.
Well, who created government?
God created.
God created government? All right, here you go. This should be a call to arms for all of you Christians. God created government. God did not create you. God created them to rule you. Okay? That's literally what she just said. And if you're okay with that, then I guess you're going to stand by and do nothing. Okay? Because let me tell you how it went. It went, God created man. Man created government. Okay? God created man in his image, and man created government in his own image for his own selfish reasons. And what she's trying to tell you is that God created government because she believes government is God and she is your God and you better obey her and you can't do anything without getting her permission. That's basically what she's saying. She's saying, I don't have jurisdiction. You're right, you don't have jurisdiction. Linda has jurisdiction because she's the woman who could die on the side of a mountain if you guys don't let her life support go. That is the jurisdiction. I'm telling you. God created government because that's what they think. They think God created government and appointed them to rule over you, and they're your gods. But because he had an attorney and he was a ward of the court, everything that they were doing to him while he had an attorney was absolutely lawful. It wasn't just legal, it was duly qualified. He was consenting to the court's extortion and coercion and manipulation. And it's really not the court's, it really is Katie's. But the problem is that the court's upholding it. Because Allan has gone down to the court no less than 3 times, at least, to try and swear out a warrant and issue a process against Katie for her criminal actions. And here again, this is why you know that statutes aren't law, because they don't apply to everybody. And they only apply whenever the state decides they wish to allow it to apply. That's not law. It wasn't Franklin, it was Theodore Roosevelt said, no man should be above the law and no man should be below the law. That's kind of the whole principle, jurisprudence of America, is that we're all equal under the law. So Katie goes down to Buncombe County and issues a process against Allan. After Allan has been told numerous times that he can't do anything against Katie. Okay? He can't move against her. He can't do it in a different county. He can't do it in wherever. And he has to go back. This is what they keep telling him. He has to go back to that case and pull all the parties in. He can't start a new action for Katie's criminal acts. But Katie can just go down, come up with a bunch of lies, write them down for a magistrate, and here's the kicker. While she's keeping his children over Christmas and New Year's, she files it on Christmas Eve. And they issue that process. No problem working for the bad guys. So, Katie's saying that Allan has 4 DSS investigations that have been done on him. None of them substantiated, none of them true, none of them accurate. Even the DSS people are like, this is getting silly. Did you guys go to court recently? Because they seem to file a complaint, a DSS complaint, whenever you guys have court. It's kind of a pattern they've picked up on. And this is going to go on until people do something about it. Until the public does something about it. Allan has court on January 6th. And it's an administrative court. It's an administrative process. It's a 50B. Okay? Completely administrative. There's nothing in law about it. But if he doesn't play the game, they are going to take away his children for at least a year. These are the courts you have, where the courts take away the children from the parents who are going to do a good job raising them. Keep children away from the rightful parent on Christmas and New Year's, and never punish the wrongdoers. And won't allow Allan to walk up into a court of law and verify the truth upon the record of the court, but keep allowing Katie, time and time again, to go into a court and commit perjury and lie and make stuff up to try and move against Allan. And when she gets caught and nobody's buying it, nothing happens. But we still won't let Allan go in there and uphold law and move in law and do the right lawful thing. I'm a little upset. And if they're willing to do this to a middle-aged, middle-class white man, there you go, white privilege. And why should Allan have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to go in there and have somebody else say, this is wrong? A 5-year-old would know that this is wrong. It doesn't take a judicial officer with a Juris Doctorate and a lot of law and legal experience to see how wrong this is. But apparently, judicial officers with a Juris Doctorate and a lot of legal and law experience don't care that this is wrong. Which means if you don't care that it's wrong, nobody's going to care that it's wrong. And this world will all be wrong. The entire thing. And they will come and do this to you. When they see that nobody gives them any pushback, when they just take children like what they did to Angela when her daughter walked into a courtroom and verified in open court, that man molested me. Well, we gotta arrest the mom, so she has to go with that man.
So we can make this easy, and do this easy, so we can do the hard way. That's why it's in part of us. The easy way, we can do the hard way. There's no evidence for even such a
But this is what I'm telling you.
I
Nobody knows my emotions more than I do. And nobody can say my experiences about Melly because I was the person that experienced it.
understand.
So I don't understand. No, you don't understand. You understood you wouldn't want to go with a child molester.
No, Delilah. I'm going to stop you right there.
Hold on.
How much more blatant can you get? Allan has court on January 6th at 9:30 a.m. I implore anybody who can make it to make it and see if the state breaks the law or not. Because if they break the law on this, we are in some serious trouble collectively as a society. If you wish to have any rights for yourself or your children in the future, you better make sure you actually have those rights. And if Allan does not have the right to be a dad, you don't have rights. "9:30 a.m., Buncombe County, January 6th. Let's see if there's any law left in this land. And if there's not, like, just go on, keep believing whatever a judge says, whatever a judicial officer says, that's law. They are the almighty gods that create law, because your creator didn't put law in your heart, and you don't know the difference between right and wrong. You have to have somebody govern you, tell you the difference between right and wrong, and physically enforce it on you. And you believe them. It's all a choice. It's all free will. You know, just think about it this way. The man, the Mac, Jesus Christ, literally would go on a cross willingly, knowingly, and hang next to a murderer and a thief, literally, in the physical world. But when he talked about lawyers, scribes, and Pharisees, he said, whoa, I can't help you guys. Woe unto you lawyers. You hold the keys to knowledge, enter not yourself, and hinder those who are trying to enter. Because knowledge is heaven. Okay? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is freedom. Here in the United States, how free you are or how free you are not has always been dependent on your level of education. Has always been dependent on how much you know. And now they just don't care. And what they're doing is they're stopping Allan from entering that kingdom for himself and with his offspring, Sarah and Lucas. And they know that it exists because they know law. They know what true law is. They're judicial officers. That's exactly what's going on. And you can either trust me about law, or you can trust the judicial officers that believe God created government. It's your choice. That's why Christ couldn't help the attorneys, the Pharisees. It's their choice. He can't stop free will. He can turn water into wine because it doesn't have free will. But he can't change somebody's mind when they know they're going to do wrong. Kind of negate free will. Anyways, I might make another recording. Gotta think about it. This is really upsetting to me. And I'm telling everybody right now, over the past 5 years, I have seen miracles happen in courtrooms. Things that most people would never ever believe. Most people don't believe a lot of the stories I tell. I'm telling you right now that I helped a lot of those people walk through their situations. And the people that stumbled on their own. I could tell you why the judicial officer did what they did in law. And we're in trouble because if we don't start coming together as a society, if we don't start caring about one another, if we don't start being our brother's keeper, we are all lost. Every single one of us. Yeah. We are all lost. And it will not be that long until the society around you really starts to resemble hell. And you can't do anything about it. Father, if you could just put your law in their heart and give them the strength and the courage to execute it and perform it. I would be really, really appreciative and grateful. One world love and peace. Alright, stop.
You finished?